Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Bidemi, and I hope you guys are doing well. All right. So this is chapter 8 on our microeconomics course, and we are going to be taking a look at firms and their motivations. Firms and their motivations. Right. One of the basic questions that students usually ask, or that we usually put forward, is that why do firms engage in productive activities, or why do they engage in business? Right? So if you're an individual and you would like to own a company or start a business, what are some of the reasons why you would love to start a business? Okay, so I asked my students in class, and they said one of those reasons will be to make money. All right, so we're going to start with the definition of a firm. A firm is an organization that transforms inputs, which are resources, or we usually call them the factors of production, into output, the product or the service. All right. We could refer to these resources as some of the factors of production, such as land, labor, the capital, and technology. Okay, so in the previous class, okay, we talked about production, which has to do with the transformation of inputs into outputs. Okay, so which agent is responsible for transforming those inputs into outputs? Those are firms, or those are businesses, or those are different organizations, right? So, what are some of the objectives or motivation of a firm? All right, what are some of the objectives of a firm? Number one will be or is profit maximization. Okay, so the standard assumption in economic models is that the primary objective of a firm will be or is to maximize profit. Just like my students said, they would like to make money. Higher profit means higher dividend for shareholders. More profit can be used to finance research and development. Higher profit makes the firm less vulnerable to takeover. Then higher profit enables higher salaries for workers. Okay, so these are some of the things higher profit translates to. Okay, higher dividends to shareholders can be used for research and development, finance research and development. It can enable the company to be less vulnerable to takeover and higher salaries for workers. All right. So number two, maximization of sales. Okay, so a firm can decide to engage in productive activities or um, um, start a business. Why? Is to maximize sales, to be able to sell as much product as possible, or to be able to sell at more service as possible. For example, it says firms often seek to increase their market share, even if it means less profit. Okay, so if a firm wants to be able to capture the entire market, at least a larger percentage of the market, one of the strategies it engages is to sell more product. Okay, because more product, okay, if well structured properly, okay, in terms of they already know what their profit margin will be, the more product can translate to more revenue, which can translate into profit. Okay, so firms often seek to increase their market share, even if it means less profit. This could occur for various reasons. Increased market share increases monopoly power and may enable the firm to put up prices and make more profit in the long run. Okay, just like I said. So initially, it could translate to more revenue. Okay, and eventually translate into profit. Number two, the managers of a firm, for example, prefer to work for bigger companies as it leads to greater prestige and higher salaries. All right, for managers, okay, you will hear things like they might have sales target. If they are able to meet their sales target, maybe they will be able to pay them a certain percentage if they are able to meet that target. All right, so for the managers of a particular firm or firms, it can translate into higher salaries for them. And it can also give them more prestige. You hear things like, that is the manager of so company. You hear things like, that guy is very good. Okay, he's top notch, he's doing well. for his company, All right. Three, increased market share may force rivals out of business. E.g., the growth of supermarket has led to the demise of many local shops. Some firms may actually engage in predatory pricing, which involves making a loss to force a rival out of business. All right. So some of the reasons why firms will have increase in sales as a goal is to force a rival out of business. Okay, it's competition, and so you have to do what you have to do to be able to ensure that you are in business, right? And your firms might not be the other firms might not be able to compete with you. Why? Because you've engaged predatory pricing. Predatory pricing is the kind of pricing that you lower price, uh, you sell at a particular price in which other firms may not be able to sell at that price. And so if they cannot sell at that price, it means that they might eventually fold up because if they sell at the price you're selling, that might translate into a loss for them and they might eventually fold up. Right. Then you have number three, profit satisficing. We could refer to this as the maximization of managerial utility function. Yeah. So profit satisficing is a situation where there is a separation of ownership and control. This occurs in different forms. Those who own the company, the shareholders, sometimes do not get involved in the day-to-day running of the company. This is a problem because although the owners may want to maximize profits, the managers have much less incentive to maximize profit because they do not get same rewards, in bracket, share dividends. Therefore, managers may create a minimum level of profit to keep the shareholders happy, but then maximize other objectives such as enjoying work and getting on with other workers, not sacking them. This is the problem of separation between and separation between owners and managers. This is referred to as the principal agent problem. The principal agent problem is a situation where an agent is expected to act in the best interest of the principal. However, the agent has different incentives to the principal, leading to a conflict of interest. All right, so the maximization of managerial utility function, or what we refer to as a profit satisficing, can be a situation or scenario where managers of a particular firms have other motives, okay, or have other objectives aside the general objectives in which that firm wants to achieve. For example, the owners of an organization, of a business, the shareholders or the board of an organization wants that company to be able to make the best profit possible. They want to be able to make the most, in terms of monetary wise, they want to be able to make a lot of money. But then the manager might not be, let me use the word encouraged, or might not be motivated. Maybe his salary has not been increased. Maybe he has not been given bonuses. So because of that, the manager might divert some of that attention onto himself, in the sense that he might use part of the resources of that organization to actually better himself. For example, using the contacts or using speaking to part of the customers to do certain things for him. Okay, so the principal agent problem is a problem whereby the goal of the manager, some of the goals of the manager is different from that of the owners of the business, right? Whereby the manager is trying to do things to benefit himself, not necessarily the company. Okay, so but there are ways to solve this, okay, because the manager is also an employee. All right. So, but there are ways to solve it when you know that a manager is extremely very good with his job and has skills that are not common. What can you do if you are part of the board of directors? Okay. So to cope with the principal agent problem, issuing commands does not address the principal agent problem. In most firms, the shareholders cannot monitor the managers, and often the managers cannot monitor the workers. Each principal must create incentives. Okay, you see right here, must create incentives that induce each agent to work in the interest of the principal. Three ways of attempting to cope with the principal agent problem are ownership, incentive pay, and long-term contracts. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Ownership. By assigning ownership or part ownership of a business to managers or workers, it is sometimes possible to induce a job performance that increases a firm's profit. Okay, that increases a firm's profit. Incentive pay. So incentive pay, which is a pay related to performance, is very common. Incentives are based on a variety of performance criteria such as profit, production, or sales targets. Promoting an employee for good performance is another example of incentive pay. Long-term contracts. So for long-term contracts tie the long-term fortunes of managers and workers in bracket agents to the success of the principal or principals, the owners of the firm. For example, a multi-year employment contract for a CEO encourages that person to take a long-term view and devise strategies that achieve maximum profit over a sustained period. All right, so these are the ways to deal with the principal agent problem. Okay, you give them incentive pay, you give them long-term contract, or you make them part owners of the business. In so doing, the managers, okay, or the agents will know that it might not necessarily be the managers. It can also be the workers, okay? The workers might not feel motivated, so they might use part of the resources of the firms for their own personal benefit, which might not translate into organizational goals, achieving organizational goals or organizational benefit. So if they are made part owners, or you give them long-term contract, or you from time to time, okay, you give them incentive pay, that would it will be in their subconscious that they are also working for themselves. Because if you have the part of owner of the business, you would also want to do things or engage in business activities that will ensure that business grows. Right. So the solution to the principal agent problem is not, it's not giving commands. Oh, you must do this, you must do. No. If those managers or workers are exceptionally good, then you must find a way to maximize their skill in such a way that is going to lead to maximum organizational benefits. Number four, growth maximization. With this objective, the firm may be willing to make lower levels of profit in order to increase in size and gain more market share. More market share increases its monopoly power and ability to be a price setter. Growth can be organic growth or through mergers and acquisition. What is organic growth? Organic growth is when a firm grows by simply being successful. The firm uses its own resources in this type of growth. The firm can also go through mergers, okay? Mergers coming together equally to form a single company, or can also go through acquisition by taking over another company. All right, so merger, two companies coming together. Acquisition, when one firm acquires another firm, or when one firm buys another firm, okay, or when one firm takes over another firm. Okay, so mergers and acquisitions can be in three different types. You can have horizontal, you can have vertical, you can also have conglomerate. So what is a horizontal merger? A merger between two firms operating in the same industry and at the same stage of production process. For example, the merger of two car assembly firms. What about vertical? A firm operating at different stages of the supply chain for a specific product or service combined into a single entity. All right, for example, when a car assembly plant merges with a tire producer, vertical mergers can be upstream. Okay, take note. Vertical mergers can be upstream, mergers with a distributor or retailer. So for vertical mergers, for upstream, the goal is for the company to move closer to the end consumer. So, for example, if Tesla merges with another, uh, let's say, uh, uh, a car dealer, for example, and they begin to put their cars in such a showroom, their goal is to be able to meet directly those consumers, the end consumers. Okay, that's why I said company moves closer to the end consumer. You see, it merges for upstream, merges with the distributor or retailer, all right, for the purpose of moving closer to the end consumers. This is otherwise known as forward integration. You can also have downstream merges with a component supplier. So if a firm merges with if a firm merges with another component supplier, okay, their major aim is to for that company to gain control over the supply chain, okay, over supply chain components, right? They want to be able to control the process of production. They want to be able to have access to materials, all the tools that they need, all right, to be able to maybe to achieve the organizational objective or goals. So the downstream is also known as backward integration. The upstream is also known as forward integration. Number three, conglomerate merger. For conglomerate merger, firms in unrelated lines of businesses or business combined. Okay. Number five, aside making profit, maximization of sales, maximization of the managerial utility function, we can also have a firm being concerned about the environment. Okay, now you know that we talk a lot about environmental sustainability, we talk about pollution, we talk about climate change, or having a sustainable environment. Right? So a firm might be interested in making money, profit, might be interested in selling more product, might be interested in growing its business, okay, in size. But such firms are also what can help them is for them to be concerned about how their product contribute to the sustainability of the environment or how it affects the environment, either positively or negatively. So a firm may incur extra expense to choose products which do not harm the environment. Some firms may adopt social environment concerns as part of their branding. This can be ultimately this can ultimately help profitability as the brand becomes more attractive to consumers. So what are the objectives or the motivations of a firm? Okay, they want to maximize profit, they like to maximize sales, they would like to grow, okay, maximize growth as much as possible, maximization of the managerial utility function or what we call profit satisficing. They want to deal with the problem of profit satisficing so that they can as well make as much as they can make. And number five, so for social and environmental concerns. Okay, so on this profit satisficing, of course, you know that workers or agents working for a firm, um, also have to be well taken care of. Agents could be workers, could be managers. I mean, you take care of your workers very well because that also contributes to their own standard of living. Okay, so let's take a look at ownership and control. So we usually call this forms of business organizations. Okay, so you can have sole proprietorship. So we usually refer to a sole proprietorship as a single owner. It is based on single ownership. We refer to this person or this owner as self-employed. He is a lawyer, he is the doctor, he is the cleaner, he is the accountant, he is the finance specialist, is the everything within the organization. Okay, because we sometimes refer to it as a small business. It has small employees. Okay, so what are the advantages? You can set it within the confines of your house. Simple decision making. Profits are taxed only once as owner's income. What are some of the disadvantages? Owner's wealth at risk. The firm dies with the owner. Bad decisions could be made without any need for consensus because he is the alpha and omega of that business. Okay, by alpha and omega simply means is the first point of contact and the last point of contact. I mean, he doesn't bounce off his decision on other, maybe there are no board necessary, board of directors, and so it might be easy to make bad decisions. Four, the cost of labor and capital is high related to that of corporations. So what about partnership? So partnership is kind of similar to the sole proprietorship, but the difference is that for partnership, it is when two or more people come together to form a business. Okay, and its advantages are very similar to a sole proprietorship, easy to set up, diversified decision making, can survive the withdrawal of a partner. So if a partner withdraws from such business and the partner has a lower percentage in terms of its contribution, then that business might survive. But if a partner who has contributed to 80% of the starting of that business, then that business might fail. Profit are taxed as owner's income. Okay, so what is the disadvantage? Achieving consensus from partners may be slow and expensive. All right, so you know when it comes to being on the same page in terms of decisions, especially when you have partners, it's quite more difficult than when you are alone to make such decisions. All right, because the partners might see things from a different vantage point, and so it might take a while to arrive at very concrete decisions or to arrive at decisions to important matters. Except the partners have uh, the same kind of worldview or similar mindset. Number two, owner's entire wealth is at risk. Okay, three, withdrawal of partner may create capital shortage, just like I mentioned. Four, cost of labor and capital is high relative to that of corporation. Yeah. Number three, corporations. So you have sole proprietorship, you have partnership, you also have corporations. For corporations are companies whose capital is divided into shares that are held by individuals who have limited responsibility for the debts of the company. That is, the shareholder has limited liability. These corporations can be private joint stock companies and public joint stock companies. The public joint stock companies are listed on the stock exchange. So what are the advantages of corporations? So the corporations are the big companies. They have large number of employees. Owners have limited liability, large scale, low cost capital available, professional management not restricted by the ability of owners, perpetual life, which means continuous existence, and long-term labor contract cost, labor cost. What are the disadvantages? Company management structures can make decisions slow and expensive. The retained profits taxed twice as company profit and the stakeholders' capital gains. The firm's constraints. You have technology, you have information and market. So firms can be constrained based on these factors. First, technology. The technology is any method of producing a good or a service. Technology involves detailed designs for machines. It includes the layout of a workplace and organization of the firm. For example, a shopping mall is a technology for producing retail services. Okay, so if a business might not have enough, for example, shopping malls to put its product, or it might not have, it might be limited by uh, warehouse to put its stock, right? In order to be able to maybe for easy transportation to where the to meet consumer needs. Okay, information. So we never possess all the information we would like to have to make decisions. We lack information about the future and the present. The firm is constrained by limited information about the quality and the effort of its workforce, the current and future buying plans of its customers, and the plans of its competitors. Three, market. What each firm can sell and the price can obtain are constrained by its customers' willingness to pay and by the prices and marketing efforts of other firms. Similarly, the resources a firm can buy and the prices it must pay are limited by the willingness of the people to work for and invest in the firm. And these are your reviewed questions. Define a firm. What are the objectives of a firm? Explain how firms' businesses are organized. And what are the constraints firm face? Okay. So we are going to see in our next class when we talk about market structure. Okay. So I'm going to see you soon. Have a wonderful day. And feel free to ask questions in the comment section, and I'll be willing to answer them. Okay. Have a great day.